So countdown from 5.
Mhm. Hello, everyone. I think I nailed this right on time. My name is TrupsLP, and welcome to another episode of our Moisky Live political recap. Oh God, what today is it? It is March 18th, the day after St. Patty's Day. So happy St. Patty's to all of those who actually celebrated. I am joined this week by none other than His Moistness Omegon. Say hello, Omegon.
Happy thanks St. Patty's Day to you all too.
Woohoo! I said that. Yep.
Hello, Omegon.
Yes. How is Omegon?
I'm good. Busy week. Amusingly
Good.
busy though.
Yeah,
I've
I
had
was
lots
gonna
of
say,
work, but I've also been dodging my nieces because 2 of my nieces here
uh-huh.
tested positive for the coof.
That's
So
all right.
I have been, every time I've seen them, I've held my hand out like I'm wielding the force, and I've walked towards them, and they've had to walk backwards into a door as well, and I'm like, 2 meters, mate, 2 meters, and I've gone and slipped into another room. I'm not a dick. But I'd be a really bad father. But other than that, I've been sorting out Magic cards, Magic the Gathering for games. I've got one now completed. Very happy with. I'm going to work on another one tomorrow. I've been acquiring tools to start doing more work on my sister's cabin to deconstruct it because now I've given up on the planning permission. Because I was doing the planning permission, I thought, screw it, this would be the easiest way. Turns out I was wrong. I submitted everything as per the request, and then I got a message back saying, you did everything we asked, but now we need you to pay for more paperwork, to get these plans and then add more details. So I did it again. And they then sent another one back saying, could you add some more, please? You fucking
Don't
what?
you love bureaucracy?
And my response was, your job is support officer. Where in this have you supported me? Also, every link they sent to me was broken. So I couldn't help but tell them that
I love that.
this is what you should do. It's how it should look. Clicks link. It appears to not be working. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
I literally sent them an audio of me over an email, and I simply said, all you have to do is play the audio. I'll perfectly articulate the nature of my concern. And my audio simply read was, "You are useless at your job. Quit." So I'm going to carry on deconstructing tomorrow.
Okay.
What about Trups? What's Trups been up to?
Well, I went to my LARP for the first time in 2 years.
Fantastic.
Which has been glorious. However, it was a bit cold. And when I say cold, I mean 18 degrees Fahrenheit, which is slightly below freezing. I say slightly, but it's like a solid.
Sounds crisp.
Yeah, a solid 14 degrees
I
below freezing.
love cold.
I don't, and
I mean, that could be your heritage.
Well, okay, so it wouldn't have been so bad if Friday night
white genetics.
No, it had rained.
Oh, that doesn't help. That really doesn't. You're right. I know what you mean. Yeah.
And everyone's stuff, if they didn't have a raincoat, like me, I wore a highwayman jacket, by the way.
Peasant.
Well,
it clearly didn't serve you well.
It did me great. That highwayman jacket was absolutely soaked.
Should have bought a tarp.
Everything else perfectly dry. Yeah, but I was perfectly dry underneath that. However, everyone else not so good.
Yeah.
They had some major issues because their stuff was cold, and then once the clouds went away, all of the air was sucked out, and all the heat went with it.
The chat's asked, is it an organisation, LARP? If so, which?
Yes, it is Solar, which is
acronym or?
It is. It's Southern Organized Live Action Roleplay.
That's awesome. I love that name. It makes me think of a guitar company called Solar, which is run by a YouTuber.
Yeah.
Would you like to hear another moderately amusing story from my end then?
Please.
So I on behalf of my niece, I sold a Pokemon card for her. It was a Espeon, a really rare Espeon she got in a booster for £70. I mailed it on the 25th of February.
Oh no!
And I was so excited because that's 70 quid for her. On the 2nd of March, I got a message. Have you sent it? Yes. I even have proof of postage, and I did tracked. Royal Mail lost it. And with Tract and with everything else, I was entitled to a full compensation. I did the application because they've done the refund on their end, meaning the money will go back to them at some point. I can't give the money to my niece now, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna have to give her the money from my own pocket because that's not right on her. She's lost out because of their cock up. Well, their version of compensation came in the post yesterday. I got a letter which is behind me somewhere, but enclosed it said the maximum we can offer you is the postage. I was like, but it's tracked, and you have it, and on your system under your rules it states I get full compensation. Well, no, I got a book of 8 first-class stamps. I don't even mail things. Cunts. So yeah, my niece lost 70 quid. Well, she hasn't. I have. I've lost... Actually, I've technically lost a little bit more than that. But yeah, I got stamps as a payment for losing a very rare Pokemon card on my niece's behalf.
That sucks.
Royal Mail are pricks. Next time I'm going to use someone else. Next time I'm going to use
UPS, bro.
Get FedEx or something.
Or FedEx.
Yeah. I will happily pay 20 quid.
Apparently something's wrong with my mic.
Wait, does it? It sounds fine on my end.
I have no idea.
Trups does have a thing where he does move a bit, because apparently he has body Tourette's. I don't know.
Yeah, you know. Here, hold on. Let me.
But other than that, he should be fine. It sounds clear on my end.
That might just be fucking whatever is capturing Discord. I don't know.
Donate to his Streamlabs and he'll buy a new mic, or we'll just learn to use better software, like I don't know, StreamYard or something, because we really should. Apparently, it's better for audio.
Apparently, StreamKit's also a thing.
I don't know. Everything's
I don't
recorded.
know. That one you pay for.
Everything's just recorded through OBS. It's their fault. I want to get one of those stream decks and soundboards so I can properly sit here and balance it, because that's something I don't own, and I think it'd be a great investment next year. Certainly in the cabin with the space I'll have on the desk, I can have that there. He sounds distant. That's Trups' normal. Yeah, that's normal. Sorry, Joe. It's more the
I will lean forward.
No. The distant thing is the echo. You know, that hollowness in the room. That's not your fault. That's like a normal thing, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that is true. There is just walls in this room.
Yeah. He hasn't hung his.
I will still lean forward a bit and hope that it helps.
If you have any more complaints, please direct them to Wildling, because neither of us will notice them.
Yes.
Anyway,
we're lucky that I noticed that.
Where should we start? Should we start with what you told me about just before the stream that I had not heard about?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, let's do that.
Should we talk about Biden?
It sounds like you're in a very echo. Yeah. Sure.
Which one?
Sure.
Oh, which one is it? The Hunter one? Yes.
Yeah, of course. So, yes. We've got a callback is really the way I want to start this story. So, before the election, there was a story that the New York Post had ran that they acquired a laptop that was left at a computer repair shop in, I believe it was Delaware or Pennsylvania, one of the two.
Right.
And I think it was Delaware. Yeah, that would make sense. And the person did not come pick it up. The owner did not come pick it up. So the owner then took it upon himself to be like, well, I own this now based on policy of this store. I wonder what's in it. Man opens it up, finds out it is Hunter Biden's laptop, and it has emails on it from individual business partners from across the world, including some energy officials from China, from Ukraine, but places like that. And some of those things were quite, how would you say, incriminating. Well, New York Post runs the story, and immediately, and I mean basically immediately, social media coordinates with one another to, well, stifle the story. The New York Post has its post removed. Anybody who tries to share that post cannot, even in even in DMs, they are unable to. And when they commented about it, New York Post eventually got locked out of their Twitter. And
You're
Facebook
kidding.
did similar things. No, absolutely not. Facebook actually did similar things where they did not allow you to share that in private DMs.
You're actually joking.
Oh no, I am not joking.
What is that? Not what? Why would they do that?
Well, I have one answer, which is because they really, really don't like the New York Post. The other one might have something to do with the fact that it might have hurt Joe Biden's chances in the election.
That sounds
What
like
do
a
you?
conspiracy.
Oh, it is. It is exactly that. What's funny about the word conspiracy is that people think that the word conspiracy by itself means that something just isn't true. Conspiracies are just basically the organized. I'm going to do a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
Versus what people think it is, which is a conspiracy theory, which is the thing where people are, making shit up about people who, are doing bad things together. Different things, but important differences.
Yeah, of course.
So, okay, flash forward to now. New York Times 2 days ago, I think, accidentally, or I guess intentionally, but rather underhandedly, they admitted that the laptop is real. They did this underneath a headline that ordinarily would have been overlooked or otherwise kind of just ignored. But people found it because people read the news.
Yeah, of course.
And there's some very, very important details regarding this admission that needs to be addressed. One,
Mm-hmm.
that means Joe Biden outright lied when he said that I don't get involved with Hunter's business dealings. I don't talk to him about business.
So before you get to part two, are you allowed to call the president a liar?
Sure.
So in the UK, we're not really allowed to do that because of Parliament and all that. Say this were in Congress. Are they allowed to say the president lied in Congress?
Totally.
Obviously, because yours is right down the middle party line politics, it won't really mean shit anyway. But
also, just think about what they said about Trump.
I try not to because it was all pretty inflammatory.
Well, I mean,
but I just wanted to, because obviously it was a few years ago for newer viewers. I just wanted to make sure that was something people know because I wouldn't have known.
Yes,
that
you can do that.
Okay, good. Okay, what's number two?
And number two was that anybody who was around Joe Biden also knew it was a lie.
Oh.
So that means that legitimately a conspiracy took place.
That's not a good look.
No, it is not. Especially when you consider that if the media had reported fairly, especially on this instance, I believe it was some 40-something% would have actually not voted for Joe Biden had they known that this was a thing.
Right.
So, given that that is what we are currently operating under, you remember a bit about that laptop. What do you think about this new revelation and the implications of it?
If that was in this country, there would be not just an inquiry, there would be an immediate investigation into it. There would not even be a hesitation about it. Because as much as you want to protect the democracy has been undermined by somebody who has been elected to office who's a liar. But then again, I don't expect shit to happen when your VP is also a proven liar. Proven corrupt official. I'm sorry, but you don't expect it. If anything, it undermines your democracy that they're in their seats. Oh, but they got rid of Trump. At what cost? Oh, but he was a threat to our democracy because the insurrection. But you're a threat to the
Hmm.
democracy because you're proven liars. Like, you're in the position now where... I'm sorry, but you were saying that you weren't involved, or there was nothing involved with certain illicit things, and yet you've been proven now to have been doing that.
Hmm.
That's not a good look on anyone, really, is it? But
No,
because
no, no, it's not.
it's not going to get any coverage, it's not going to go anywhere either because of who's in power and how people vote, how political figures in your country will just vote to protect themselves, their party, which is a bit unfortunate. And,
Hmm.
well, your democracy is not as strong as people think it is anyway.
This is true.
It only,
Unfortunate. That's true.
only took, what, 100 people to almost dismantle your democracy.
Oh yes. Well, fun story about that. There was actually a there was a Veritas thing about that, about how one of the guys at, I think it was MSNBC, was like, yeah, no one was in danger.
Obviously not. Fuck all of them. We're armed.
Hmm. Apparently there was one.
Oh, one.
He's
Okay. My mistake.
Yeah,
There was a,
apparently he was indicted for having a weapon on Capitol grounds. So
in that case, then this
okay, there was
insurrection is
one.
terrible.
Yes.
Clearly,
I just wanted to make sure that was clear. So yeah,
I'm
New
sorry,
York
but
Times accidentally agrees that Joe Biden is corrupt.
well, that was yeah. It's like stating the bleeding obvious.
Yes, yeah. And what shocks me is, well, okay, it doesn't shock me anymore. What pisses me off is that I hate saying "I told you so."
Depends on the
I
context.
hate Well, I hate telling people "I told you so" when I say this was bad back then,
Mm-hmm.
and really people should take a look at this when they're
Mm-hmm.
like, "Oh no, it's Russian disinformation. It's not verified. They're from right-wing sources, and all they want to do is, put down Joe Biden." What,
They regurgitate the
bro?
same nonsense, and all I ever hear from them is "erp derp derp derp." They're talking bollocks every time. It's not about putting Biden down. No one's putting Biden down. That's the problem.
Biden puts
No,
himself down.
Biden just opens his mouth. He just opens his mouth and crap comes out. I know that. Oh, but Trump did too. This isn't about Trump. So shut the fuck up if you're watching this on replay and you think that. Shut up. All right. This is strictly about what someone in office has done before when everyone said otherwise, and it has now been it has now been confirmed by another outlet that it is true. I'm
Mhm.
sorry, but this is not. No, shut the fuck up. This is obvious. Simple as well, and yet, it's not going to go anywhere. And that's annoying. These people, if you want to talk about, like, I remember people saying that Trump wasn't presidential in his time in office. What's so presidential about a guy lying?
Well, I mean, to be fair, that's exactly what what presidents do nowadays.
You're right. You're right. It's
I
all about
hate that that's
it's all
true,
about their
but
Twitter, all about their Twitter activity. You're right. Well, I can't get onto Truth Social. It's not in the UK.
yeah. But what's funny about that is that people like the press secretary and other media outlets, including the Times at the time, literally said, "Oh no, this is Russian disinfo." Had a bunch of like former like intelligence department people even say, "Oh no, it's disinformation."
It's the
Mm.
Russians. Shut the fuck up.
And what's terrible about it is that they probably knew. They probably knew damn well
hmm
that it was not only true, but that they were going to lie to everybody in order to convince enough stupid people to vote for Joe Biden.
hmm
And look how well that's been going for us.
Honestly, yes, you're doing amazing right now.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Never has your
But yeah, that's
democracy
the
looked
Hunter
any
Biden
stronger.
story. We'll see. Let's see what comes of it, but don't hold your breath.
Yeah, don't. It's not worth it. Do you think that?
Uh,
Do you think anything will come of it?
I hope to God this investigation has been going on since 2018 from the State Department.
I mean,
Please, God, let it happen.
I doubt anything will come of it. Say the investigation makes some inroads. I doubt they'll be able to do something as simple as impeach him for it.
Oh well, I mean, they might if Republicans take the House and the Senate, if they maintain their Senate and retake majority, then they actually very well could do something like that.
As we know from history, it's unlike not many presidents managed to hold the House after halfway through the first term.
Well, more or less, it's very unlikely that Republicans will summon up the balls to do anything useful.
Yeah, they're surprising. Like once they win, and it was something Sticks said. The moment they won in 2016, they seemed to just they
Mhm.
didn't know what to do. It was all about just winning. They're like the bad guy in the movie. They never think about don't have the conviction to go any further than just winning. And I
Yeah,
think, and
true.
that's why I think Trump was very different because he knew what he wanted, and he kept pushing
Hmm.
for it. He didn't listen to this dog shite of we won. That's it, right? We'll wait for them to win, then we'll win again. It's not how you should be thinking. You should be thinking about
No,
what you can do
and
to help.
honestly, the fact that he was a person of action is probably why there were individuals on the Republican Party who did not like him for probably exactly that reason because he broke the rule, the unspoken rule of don't do shit.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're 100% right. Well, we've got the midterms this
So
year, so that should be
that's
interesting.
right. So that's that story. We will. Uh, we'll
Circle
see.
back, maybe.
Yep. What about you? What do you have on your end?
To be honest, there hasn't been much going on over here. We've had like discussions on Boris going over to Saudi Arabia to talk to Mohammed bin Salman about getting more oil from them to try and deal with
Hmm.
the fact that we've got a huge like inflation on fuel prices. Thing is, I love that in one respect we have that happening, and that sounds like then the fuel prices will go down if we secure this. No, bloody won't. The government is more than happy to take more tax. The fuel prices will stay there, and they know it. Drivers know it. They have to know it. I mean, it costs 166 a litre or a gallon or whatever. Bloody well, I don't know what it is anymore. I don't drive. It's
Hmm.
like, I just see the prices. It says like 160 something. It's not good. I mean, it was only a few years ago that it was just one, and now it's all the way
Hmm.
up there. That's huge. And the government can tax more out of it. They will, and they are because well, it gets the earlobes going. It's quite profitable, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
And I fully understand that. I can fully understand that because, they can invest that money. Problem is where they're going to invest it. I was wondering what they were going to do with the 45 billion they've seized from Russian oligarchs in this country. They've seized some
Oh,
properties.
that's going to disappear.
Yeah, I mean,
It's going to disappear
I,
somewhere.
I'd like it to disappear, and give us a nice new skate park over here, please, for the old people to go in their wheelchairs. Or better yet, can I have a £45,000 Charizard Pokemon card, please?
Now, why on earth would you want that?
Because a guy in your country got sent to prison after spending $57,000 of COVID relief money that he took a loan out claiming it was for an entertainment business on a Pokemon card. He got $85,000 and 57 went on that.
Oh,
I mean, in a few years, it might be worth a little more. Oh,
maybe, sir, maybe.
I have a
But
ancient relief card worth like £900, so yeah. But yeah, there
I
hasn't
have
been
that
much
card
going on.
actually.
There's been issues with refugees in this country from Ukraine, because the process of granting visas is not it's not simple in this country, and that's how it's meant to be. We have a bureaucracy involved, and you have to meet certain standards. Refugees are, yes, of course, we should all be, if we can help them, we should. Of course, we should, and we will. But we need to make sure you're actually a refugee and not an economic migrant. And that's been a big
Hmm.
bone of contention in Parliament. that this process has been slow. And the thing is, I've got a friend, and you know this friend in Texas. They have been trying to get over here. Their appeal was rejected recently to come over here, and they had to redo the
Were
whole
they
thing.
really?
Yeah, and I don't know why, because they meet all the criteria. And then now they've got to redo the entire application. But then they get back a message from the Home Office saying, "I'll tell you what, I'll go and get it," because it was beyond stupid. Oh yeah, UK VI visa. I don't know. Is prioritizing Ukraine family scheme applications in response to the humanitarian crisis caused by the invasion of Ukraine, and so applications for study, work, and family may take longer to process. Priority and super priority visa services have been temporarily suspended for new study, work, and family visa applications. Standard visitor visas are taking on average of 6 weeks to process, which is probably what she'll end up having to do just so she can be with her husband for a few months. What an absolute crocker shite. Come on. I know that this just tells... Be honest. Well, I'll be honest. The Home Office is renowned for incompetence. But how they cocked this up the first time and they still won't admit they cocked it up? Dumb motherfuckers. You're the reason this application went peak-tong in the first place.
Yeah, that's a good point. Now, so they're now prioritizing Ukrainians.
Yeah, they are, and that's
Do you
fine.
have any idea where they're going?
No. I know that there was some Ukraine refugees that have taken up residence in an old oligarch's mansion, and it's a big one. So I mean, I don't mind them staying there. There is a thing with celebrities and other people in this country that have said they'll welcome them into their homes. I'm not one of those people because there is no space in our house unless you want to live in a loft that's going to get so hot you will cook in it during the summer. And even then, the answer is no because there's no flooring there, and I don't want you pissing through the ceiling because you can't get to the bathroom fast enough. We don't have a simple staircase to get into the attic. So people are doing this scheme to welcome people into their homes, and that's fine. You know, your home, you do your own business, right? That's all good. But there aren't any houses really beyond those that are seized or derelict. So there might have to be, and that's another issue. We barely have enough homes for people in this country. Remember, small country. We don't have all the property, and coronavirus slowed down this essential work. So it's a bit of a struggle. I'll give you that. But it should pick up. I mean, there's been a lot of refugees welcomed into other countries, and that's great if they can handle that. Poland has really stepped up. That's fantastic. But Poland is currently in a position right now where Lviv, Lviv, town Lviv, right next to Poland, has been shelled, and that's right near their border. They don't want that. They do not want any of that crap happening near their border at all. But
no.
What can they do?
And realistically speaking, neither does Russia. They should know better.
They should, but apparently they're too stupid.
And when I say they should know better, I mean if they even so much as cross the line, all the NATO countries are begging for the reason to pull the trigger. This
is a very strange thing because obviously, as you know, Volodymyr Zelensky has given a number of speeches. He has spoken in Congress. He got a standing ovation, a cringy one in Parliament. Some politicians were again in our Parliament from Ukraine, and they again, paid respect to them, which is just fantastic. And
yeah, we did the same thing with our ambassador.
I'm sorry. My skin, man, it just can't handle that. So in that speech, he said that he now knows who his real friends are because let's put that up because he has to accept that Ukraine won't be able to join NATO, and I think that sucks because they want to join. They want that protection, and yet, when it came to offering them actual protection, when it came to standing by their side, who's actually stepped up? Who? None of the major NATO players have actually done that, and it's because they want to quote avoid a war. It's not about avoiding a war. It's about saying we're against you in this. You need to stop. If you're willing to pull the trigger on us, then you actually start the war.
See, this has been the odd thing that I've been seeing from politicians, and some journalists have very aptly questioned this.
Yeah.
So they don't want to send in planes because that would look like escalation. So instead, what we'll sell is rifles. We'll sell them missile launchers.
Mm-hmm.
We'll sell them anti-aircraft.
Mm-hmm.
But we won't send them planes because that looks like escalation. Okay, so you mean to tell me that things that we hand them that is specifically made to shoot down their shit to kill those people,
Mm-hmm.
that's not escalation, but sending them a MiG-29 from Poland, that's escalation. What? I don't understand.
To give them the chance to protect themselves is one thing. That's absolutely fine, but surely that is still to give them a chance because they don't have much of one because when they've agreed to ceasefires to allow people to evacuate, the Russians have used their advantage in the sky to carpet bomb people, and we've seen it. It's absolutely harrowing. That's not protect. That's not. By the way, that's showing just how dirty they're going to be doing things, and that's not. They're just ruining an entire country because they want to own it. They want to own areas of it. They don't want them to become as advanced as everyone. Oh, to be a part of something else that they want to be a part of. You don't get to decide who wants to join the Beano Club. And it's not about I saw Putin's recent speech. He said that the West's sanctions will only strengthen the resolve of the Russian people, and I'm like, no, it won't. The sanctions of the West have crippled the people. The only people that aren't bothered by it are the twats who don't care if they die. And that's you, not you, Trups. You, Putin. How out of touch are you? It's not going to strengthen their resolve in the slightest. Look at all the companies that are Russian-made or come from Russia that are no longer, in operation in this country or in your country. The more recent one I mentioned in today's video, Russian Standard Vodka, which is actually all right. It's bottled in St. Petersburg. It's not really made there though. It's made somewhere else, I think. So it's just plenty of punishments are coming and have been coming. The ruble is absolutely dead. There's no sport for them to play unless they want to play against themselves, which I'm sure they wouldn't mind. Not that Putin actually cares. That megalomaniac does not give a shit in the slightest, and we all know it. I know, by the way, there's been a lot of... while this has been going on, there's been a lot of very critical talk about Ukraine. And you know what? There are some valid points to that. And I said last time we streamed here that sometimes you have to pick your moment to talk about it. Apparently, that means now, so we can fully understand the perspective of Putin. And you are absolutely right to say that. But at the same time, it still does not justify invading another country to claim territory. It does not. And I find this to be quite... people are saying that... I saw Sargon posted a meme on Instagram about this. People are just blindly following like sheeple about this coronavirus, the vaccines, and then what's that guy who got kneeled on? What's his name? George
Floyd?
Yeah. That as well. And I mean, there's some points to that, sure, but it's not the same point he thinks. It's not... I think it's intentionally done to try and, if anything, stir up more of a problem. I don't know. I don't mind being critical of Zelensky with regards to journalism and news reporting in his country. If there are policies that are questionable, sure, but we're not the same country. We're not the same democracy. And by all means, quote that if you want. I can't comment on the culture of Ukraine. In the same sense, I can't comment really on the culture of America because I don't understand it. I stick to my lane of the UK. Russia is clearly the aggressor, and while there are criticisms that can be levied fairly at Ukraine, I would have to learn more to spend more time to understand it, to fully appreciate whether or not there's any validity to the criticisms. Does it make us sheeple? Not really. But we'll happily dunk on
Well,
Putin because he's being a twat.
well, I don't think that's necessarily what Sargon is getting at. I have not seen the post, so I might be wildly mischaracterizing.
To be fair, you might be
But
right, though.
based on how you're describing it, it sounds more like the blind following of somebody who is, uh, currently engaged in a war
Mm.
because they are in a war does not necessarily make the person who you're supporting a good person. Just because you've chosen a side
Mm-hmm.
against the aggressor does not mean that the person supported is better. That's just my assumption. I don't know if that's what Sargon meant,
It might
but
be. I don't
I,
care enough. It's
but
one
I
of those
do
things I
think that is
notice.
a valid point at all. So,
Yeah. Um, I just think it's a fascinating thing of um, many people taking sides but not understanding the cultural differences.
mhm.
I mean, there can still be a democracy and do questionable things. Actually, in one respect, it makes them very similar to every other democracy where the governments do um, questionable things. No government is exempt from that, are they? They all do it, and that's called government. Um, maybe I'm trying to think of something and I still don't quite understand it yet. We'll come back to it later.
Maybe,
Come
but
back to it
like,
later.
so I mean, at least one of the things that I can at least think of in terms of like the Zelensky thing, there are several things that I remember. Just, I mean, last time we streamed, I made some what I guess maybe consider it a spicy commentary.
You are
But
known
I
for it.
had very strong views against certain things, just straight up. I didn't like the propagandizing, most of it,
Mm-hmm.
of what I was seeing
Yeah.
in general.
Yeah.
Um, and that was mostly in favor of Zelensky because I don't particularly like the fact that we are basically used as almost like rage baiters. We were being used as like a mob
Yeah.
to essentially whip those who may not have an opinion or as strong of an opinion into having one to avoid, getting into it with their friends and family. Does that make sense?
It does.
Like, like it was the same thing with coronavirus. It was the same thing with Black Lives Matter. It was the same thing with every common current thing. Basically, if you are, you know, part of the collective, then that's the government position. That's what they like you to be,
Mm-hmm.
and they will propagandize you to be in that lane. Now, whether or not any truth of it is there, like right now, fucking Ukraine is being slowly encircled, and they're losing ground on the outskirts of the outer cities. Yep. But still, certain news agencies will talk about how well the Ukrainians are defending themselves,
That's all I
which could
see.
also be true. Which could also be true,
Mm-hmm.
but it's framing, right?
Oh yeah. All I see is lip service, how well they are defending themselves. Yeah. Until they run out of supplies. Sure.
Yeah. Then we get asked, please God help the poor Ukrainians. They need our javelin missiles. Um, but in terms of like all the other crap that we're currently hearing about the Ukrainian defense forces, and the fucking the letters of marque against Russians.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a whole thing. Do you mind taking over for 1 second? I need to step away for just one moment.
It's okay. So, to the
Perfect.
YouTube chat, I have questions. What do you think what do you think about most major platforms removing the ability of Russian creators from being able to earn an income from using those sites or platforms like TikTok, I don't know about TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and so on. Because I'm very and yes, nameless guest. These are on Spotify. Um, Perhaps they're not usually this. Let's say awkward. We do have normally a fairly good flow. We seem to be not bouncing as well as normal. I think it's because we haven't been streaming together for 2 weeks, so sometimes we have to kind of regain our groove. Ahsoka, you say you don't think it's right. Okay. No one is the good guy in Ukraine. No one's the good guy anywhere, really. So as far as these removals go, I don't support it. While I fully agree, it is the responsibility of the people to vote for officials that govern their country. I don't think that can apply in Russia as well as it does elsewhere. Not least because of what Putin has done to ensure that he can run the country until 2036, by which time he'll be in his mid to late 70s, probably 80s actually. The man is desperate to remain in control. It is well established that if you run a country as big as Russia, from the little place you run it from, you are not going to be in touch with the people, which is why I've always felt countries that are that big should not be that big. They shouldn't be. They should be like, well, to an extent, like America. Each state has a governor. That governor runs the state. Some of those states are still too big, but you know what? At least that is marginally more manageable. Can't rebut what you don't see. True. They shouldn't remove the creators or the media coming from them. True. The artists aren't the ones who are carrying out a war, but demonstrate a token act of fealty to the social whim of the weak. That is very clear sarcasm. I fully appreciate it.
Sorry about that.
But yeah, you all make good points. And that's great, because as much as we can say the creators should at least then take a stand against Russia, and that's what they should be doing, that doesn't change the fact you've taken away their income. That's not going to make them want to do it either. It just tells them you have power over them, and you are seeking to control them. Those same people should be able to do it on their own accord, and we should not be seeking to take away from them their means of earning any money to be able to buy things. Not that they can buy much, with the ruble being worth equivalent to no dick at all. We're talking about people,
really?
whether or not people should have the right to earn money from Russia on platforms like Twitch, where they are no longer allowed to, or Patreon and YouTube and so on.
See, this was always something that I was confused with, right? So all the sanctions were supposed to hurt Putin, right? And I remember there was a strong comment by Biden at the time to say, oh, all of our sanctions, they will not hurt the Russian people. They will hurt Putin and his supporters. Well, okay, that policy right there about Twitch, that doesn't hurt Putin.
No. I think
it does not hurt Putin in the slightest.
You know what I think they think? They think that by hurting all the people of Russia, that they will then, protest more and lean against Putin. But you're forgetting here, he has an army that's monstrous in size, even if they are feeble as Fook, right? He has that. He lives in a literal fortress, and the guy is so desperate to remain in power, he can legislate how long he stays in power for, which he has already done. This man doesn't need...
The man has his own private police force.
The man doesn't need any supporters anymore. He doesn't need the people. And it's always been like that in Russia. There's always been somebody in control, never leading. Go back as far as you want. To the Tsars, and to Lenin and Stalin. Come on. Gorbachev as well, if you like.
Maybe what they're trying to say is they want the people to revolt against Putin.
This is not how you do it.
Yeah, but that's not going to work the way that you want it to.
No, it's not. In fact, if anything, it's going to make them angry with the rest of us for taking it away from them. But I promise you, I don't support that. And the thing is also, if you think it's going to hurt Putin, okay, if Putin's is as let's say evil as we would think, he might take inspiration from Stalin and be okay with 20 to 30 million people starving to death.
Mm-hmm.
Quite frankly, I don't think he'll care too much.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned about some of these companies, and actually, companies like Nestle, I believe, are actually still doing business within Russia. And I saw some people on Twitter saying hashtag boycott Nestle, and I'm like, all right, let me ask, why? What? Why is it wrong for a fucking water, chocolate, and other food company, food and whatnot, why is it wrong for them to do business in Russia? Oh, because Russia's invading Ukraine. Right. But when did that say that the Russian people don't deserve food?
This is where people have prioritized optics. They've prioritized how others should look on the world stage over the needs of the many.
Well, right, which is really weird considering a lot of them are fucking communists.
Bit strange.
Yeah. But realistically, they're all fascist or fascist sympathizers, really.
Well, that's
I know we've used that word, or that word has been used, basically to the point of it not meaning anything.
Oh, it's worth nothing now.
But in this case, it totally does mean exactly what people think it is. I mean, I made the tweet the other day. Okay, so we in this country have trillions of dollars worth in debt to China. Okay, but we also just proved that we don't need to, well, have any kind of we all we need is basically all the governments of the world to basically put sanctions on a country, and their money is worthless. So why the fuck is any country indebted to China at this point?
I partially think
because we could just fucking bury them in sanctions.
Honestly, I think fear plays a big factor in that one. Russia, I don't think people are afraid of. Well, I think they are, but not as much as they are of China. I think they're afraid of Russia for, we don't know if Putin would be dumb enough to pull the trigger on a missile or 2 million.
See, that's a really good point, though. Okay, why aren't the people scared of Russia? Why aren't they? Russia's been the big bad for the last 40, 50 years.
Oh, yeah. Cold War and all that.
So why are our governments not afraid of them?
Don't know.
Why are they afraid of China, who's just now entering superpower status within the last 30 years? Why? What about it has changed? Because I don't think that if they were truly afraid of any of these countries, right, worried about somebody pushing the nuclear button, anything like that, that they would actually, they would have levied as many sanctions. China has the same theoretical power in terms of pressing a nuclear button as Russia does, but they're not nearly as afraid of China's pushing the nuclear button, allegedly. And I wonder why. Now, some people obviously in the chat are making a good point. They like cheap stuff from China. I think it's actually a bit more insidious than that. Oh. And I think it's because they're all personally indebted. China.
Now that's an interesting take. Do you think
we know that our politicians are fucking corrupt as shit?
Oh, we know that, yes.
Right? Like that's not a strange thought to say. It's not controversial in the slightest that politicians are corrupt. But let's go further from that. Okay, your politicians are corrupt. Who else is probably corrupt? Media officials, athletes. I mean, we've seen that, right? Kobe, for instance, LeBron. Um, like we've seen individuals kowtow to China, and movie industries, video game industries, all this kind of stuff. China owns these people, fucking every bit of them. And I think that's the real reason, because Russia doesn't buy our shit. Russia isn't Tencent, who owns, Riot Games, who owns parts of Blizzard, who owns parts of Microsoft, right?
Yeah.
That's a Chinese company, by the way.
I got you.
Yeah. The Russian companies that are involved in that kind of stuff, they don't exist nearly as bad. But those other ones, they're everything. Well, okay, so Chaos says it still requires evidence. Sure. My evidence would be that let's look at what companies Tencent has a stake in the United States. And let's go from there, and we'll see how CEOs of those companies that they own, how they respond to certain let's say provocations from China against, let's say, Taiwan or Hong Kong. Let's see what these people had to say. I guarantee you it wasn't a whole fucking lot. So whereas you may not get like the legitimate fucking receipt, you can get, well, basically the next best thing, which is a stockholders meeting. But that's just me. I cringe every time I hear the word Tencent. Yeah, true. There's probably spies, also true. But yeah, no, these things are absolutely fucking true. But something about China is scarier than Russia, and we won't do the same thing that we just did to Russia to China, even though we know that not only are they participating in an entire racial genocide, they are literally overtaking a sovereign, a independent state, which, to be fair, that was the British's originally, and are looking at the former Democratic Republic of China and going, "Ooh, look at that! I want that. You guys make computer chips, me likey." Yes, just ask if Taiwan is a country. Good question. Let's ask John Cena.
Okay. Man speaks fluent Mandarin. I love it.
Well, I mean, good for him. But also, all right, we get it. You're a shill. I got it.
The guy was a perfect face for the WWE. The guy had the charisma that very few had on a professional level.
Oh, absolutely, he did. Yeah, and he had the skills to back it up.
I fully agreed with him originally when he recognized Taiwan as a country, and he's right to. It's always China was always very feudal, and then they agreed to all unite under one thing, and then others wanted to break away from that. They wanted their own sovereignty back, and they were right to. You shouldn't always be bound to something else. It's that power thing. It's always been about power, and I hate it so much. Always about controlling the people. Oh, we're doing this for you. Okay.
Well, it's the same thing that's happening in Russia. Oh, that country used to be us. We want it back. Russia said, "Hey, Ukraine, you used to be us. We want you back." And they're like, "I'm gonna go get that." And China's like, "Go Russia." And we're like, "Russia, how dare you go do the thing?" Meanwhile, China's like, "He did it, not me, but Taiwan. That'd be crazy if it was me, right? 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 Laugh now.
Totally.
It's freaky. It's creepy, dude. That we just ignore that. Like, there's no like there are some people who will mention it in fucking like politics and certain news agencies. They'll mention that China is actually a major threat, but we don't act like it is. Trump did. Trump actually sanctioned the fuck out of China.
He was willing to as well. Not
Yeah.
many. Beijing Biden doesn't have the balls for that. And
I wonder.
you are right. Geopolitics is always about power. I know. I'm not trying to sound naive or anything. It's just there's a level of frustration at the type of control involved. I never liked
And
it.
also the kind of power. Like the US has military might for fucking with droves, but we don't use it aggressively.
I'm not trying to sound intentionally naive or anything. It's just it's one of those things. I don't know how to explain it. It's just frustrating. Let's go with that.
Mm-hmm. But like, it could be micro level social interactions are about power dynamics, but that's debatable. Yeah, that's true.
I think that's being.
But
I think that's thinking about it far too much. That's going way
yeah,
too. That's being pedantic at that point. But you are right. It just that's not the point. But you are right at the same time.
I mean the small social dynamics, the things that, like, for example, the way that Trump would push himself to the front of certain things. That's small social interactions that scream power, right?
True.
But
Again, I'm not refuting that or going against it or anything. But it's just that it's. I don't. It's a stage. It's a pantomime, I guess.
I think most of it is. I legitimately think the majority of the things that we are looking at, like on the geopolitical, ironically, geopolitical like stage,
Yeah.
I think most of that is theater. I think a lot of what we see is put on for us to either A, go through the motions, or B, for us to play the part of the concerned citizen and drum up propaganda.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I couldn't tell you for what purpose, but it was kind of like one of the tweets that I had made. By the way, follow me on Twitter at TrupsLP. Um, it was based on one of the things that I had said. Where watch, wouldn't it be weird if we found out that decades ago, Russians and the United States agreed that Russia would play the bad guy and the US would play the good guy, and in exchange, we would keep certain things flowing from the Russians to the rest of the world. Wouldn't that be funny if that were true? Ha ha. Don't know if it's true. I couldn't tell you. But would it be interesting? Certainly.
Mm-hmm.
These guys all talk to each other, and we don't necessarily know nearly as much as they report to us about the conversations. Um, it's much different nowadays than it was in the age of World War II, where Churchill literally had to go to these places or do like a radio broadcast. Um, and the reason why that is in my mind is because they kept comparing Zelensky to Churchill with his eloquence.
It's not even remotely comparable. But you know what? I get what the point. I get their. I get why they make the comparison.
Right. But so who knows what people have agreed to in the corners of government? Couldn't tell you. But for some reason, the way that Trump handled things was not the way. In fact, mobilized one of the greatest oppositions to him as a president that we've ever seen. From the media to individual actors to, other politicians. Yeah, something was really nuts about him. The people loved him, though. Crazy things.
Mm-hmm.
So do you want to quickly do a recap of where Ukraine is currently sitting in this
rubble.
war effort before? Yeah, well,
there's your quick recap. Slowly but surely being utterly annihilated. Other towns and cities are being attacked, but I'll be honest, they do look still fairly strong. Just not. Russia has said that anyone sends supplies to them, military aid, will be destroyed on the route, and I don't know. I'm starting to think that there is a claim that there are talks. Russia wants these certain territories in in Ukraine. Sorry, Ukraine are like, no, fuck off, that's ours. And I have this feeling that Russia won't stop until it gets it, unless somebody else steps in and says, back off. What we're going to have to do is build the Great Wall of Ukraine around Ukraine to stop them from being, attacked on the ground. But then put some kind of force field in the sky, give them something to protect themselves in the air.
Oh, you mean like an Iron Dome?
Well,
I'm
thinking about 4 or 5 million SAM sites. But that too. That could work.
I mean, the Iron Dome would work.
Yeah.
Theoretically, the Iron Dome is basically a intelligent anti-missile system and anti-aircraft system that basically shoots down incoming missiles that are shot from the Gaza Strip into Israel.
I'm not too familiar with
theoretically. Yeah, that's how Israel defends itself against Palestine.
Oh, okay.
And fun story about that, it's entirely defensive.
Oh.
Yeah. That's why it's always interesting to see which fucking senators are like, no, we're not going to allocate funds to resupply the Iron Dome. Okay, why though?
Yeah, why?
AOC was one of those, by the way. That was maybe 4 or 5 months ago.
People who say this, do they even know why they're voting for it or against it?
No.
I thought they're just like, oh no, we're pacifists. Do you even know what?
Well, you want to know what our lawmakers have been busy with in the meantime?
They've been busy with
while this has all been going on. They recently signed a bill that says that we will no longer be adjusting our clocks in this country.
Oh, the fucking daylight savings thing.
Yep. We agreed on that. And then I think the House also passed a bill recently that says that people can't discriminate on you based on how you wear your hair. Great. I'm so glad. Our lawmakers doing the Lord's work.
God, I can't wait for
the
midterms.
That's what they are fucking doing right now.
What a load of cringe.
Bruh, I'm so sick of these fucking people. Meanwhile, I'm like thinking to myself, hey, why not fucking fine Twitter for, putting down a story that they knew was true. Because, quote unquote, hacked material.
That is that's actually a valid point. There is a fair amount of, I mean, if you're going to find them, yeah, you may as well for that fake news and all that. Yeah, it's a bit annoyingly because of who's in power, they won't do it. Because why? You don't bite the hand that backs you. Don't do that. And Twitter, whether they want to admit it or not, they do back more Democrat-leaning officials. That has been proven with Trump's time in office, and obviously as he left. Hence, Truth Social existing, by the way. And no, I'm not on it because we're not in the UK yet.
Yeah. Also, I'm not allowed to go on it yet because it's not on Android.
Oh.
Yeah.
Not on, I thought it was going to Android and Apple and all that.
Eventually.
You'll probably blow up on there.
I'd like to.
Well, you got more chance of it than me. I'd have to get a VPN first and then put myself in America. That sounds like effort. I can't be asked.
Yeah, that did sound a lot.
I don't post anywhere near enough on Twitter as it is. I just post pictures of things I see that are interesting. By the way, while you were talking, I did find a decent reviewed Yamaha mixer with USB audio interface, which is very handy. It's affordable. I could probably get it next month.
Oh, cool.
That might help the streams.
Yeah, true.
It's about £100, so we'll wait and see what happens and see if I can get it then. I'll show it to you in a bit.
Okay.
Yeah. I think we've reached the end of the stream then, I think.
I think so as well.
Oh, actually, no. I have one
All
last
right,
thing to
well,
ask you.
okay.
What do you think will happen over the next 7 or 14 days, depending on if you're here next week or not?
Let me think. I should be the 25th of March. I should be here. Yes.
Good, good, good. Okay. What do you think will
Um,
happen in Ukraine? Or with the
I
Hunter
hope
Biden thing?
they. I hope they negotiate a ceasefire. I know that's wishful thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that is genuinely what I do hope for there.
Yeah.
In terms of the Hunter Biden thing, no fucking clue, dude.
So, with regards to Ukraine Russia, ceasefire would be nice. But I think even if that happened, I think because of what has happened, I don't see any sanctions being lifted, even under the premise of but for the greater good. No, I think the only way that that would happen would be if Russia paid some form of reparations to Ukraine for the damage done to their country. The no-fly zone would be preferable as well. They asked NATO. NATO said no. They've asked America. They've said no. Um, they've asked for a no-fly zone because of what Russia is doing in the sky to their country. They can't defend against it. We're given the ability to defend themselves, but they can't defend that. I
Hmm.
think a ceasefire would be nice, but to do it, a concession would have to be made by Ukraine to give up territory of their own country. If they give that away, there is no guarantee that they won't do it again. Russia, that is. And Russia can claim it's because, but the young people want to be Russian. They're ashamed of being Ukrainian. Then they can leave Ukraine. Don't give up your country to a country, another place that will just install a despot who won't even look after you. That's not to say the current leader does, by the way. I know, be that person. Thank you. I think a ceasefire would be nice, but I don't think it's likely this week. Um, but I guess it depends on what the terms are, and I don't. I think Russia should pay for it. Well, I think the money should come out of Putin's personal money. The little coward has already got a little bunker hidden with his family hidden in it, just in case everything goes wrong.
Hmm.
A no-fly zone would be an act of war. That's very true. Yeah. Okay.
So I've
Well,
heard.
yeah. That's why. And as far as the Hunter Biden thing, I'm not bloody like you. I have no idea.
We
That's
will
it.
see.
Yees.
All right. Well, do you have anything to shill before we end the stream?
No. Do you?
I do not, but I am going to be probably streaming not today, but probably tomorrow.
Go follow him on
And
Twitch. He's a thought.
yeah, yes, indeed that. So if you wish, you can go and follow me at TrupsLP on Twitch. And yeah, I'd very much like to see y'all there.
If I'm
But
really
if you
quick,
don't have,
should we go and get it?
go.
Because otherwise we won't remember, will we? Here we are. You've got 15 followers. That's his Twitch. Go give him a follow, everyone, because he deserves it. We want him to be affiliate so he can be a thought with his boobs out all the time.
Oh hell yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. All right. Well, if there's nothing else, then I'm going to say good night, Omegon.
Good night, Trups.